Peace be upon you, dear students. Today we will continue our lesson, Structure of Matter, Part 2. At the end of this video, you will be able to characterize the fundamental subparticles of an atom, infer that an atom is neutral. The materials required from you are your worksheet, your tablet, and a pen. Please make sure you are sitting in a quiet room and you have your worksheet with you, opened on lesson 2. In the previous lesson, we discussed the atom. The atom is the smallest particle of an element that retains its chemical identity. So, what's the atom made up of? The atom is made up of two regions. The large region, which is the electron cloud, and the smaller one, which is the nucleus. So is the atom empty? Of course not. Nothing is empty space. So if not, what is its constituents? In order to find out, let's read the first paragraph of Worksheet 2, page 4. The atom is made up of subatomic particles. The fundamental subatomic particles are of three kinds: the proton, the neutron, and the electron. The protons and neutrons are close to each other. They make the nucleus, while the electrons are free to move in the electron cloud. The proton is positively charged, while the electron has the same charge of a proton but with a different sign, which means it's negatively charged. The neutron is called so since it has no charge, which makes it neutral. Now, let's put our knowledge to test. According to the paragraph, label the figure and complete the sentences below. The large region of an atom is called the electron cloud. The electrons move freely in the electron cloud. Protons are located inside the nucleus and they are positively charged. Neutrons are also located inside the nucleus, but they have no charge. The relative charge of a proton is 1 plus, since it's positively charged. The relative charge of a neutron is 0, since it's neutral. And the relative charge of an electron is 1 minus, since it's negatively charged. What about the mass of the subatomic particles? Even though the subatomic particles are very small, they still have a mass. The proton has a mass equal to that of a neutron, which is about 1.67 times 10 to the power minus 27 kilograms. How little is that? Because this mass is very little, scientists suggested that the atom should have its own measuring unit. For instance, length is measured in meters, mass is measured in kilograms. Scientists supposed that 1.67 times 10 to the power minus 27 kilograms corresponds to 1 atomic mass unit, or simply U. What about the mass of the electron? The mass of an electron is almost 1,840 times less than that of a proton or a neutron. That means it takes up to 1,840 electrons to have a mass equal to 1 proton. We can say that electrons has negligible mass, or mass equal to 0. Before continuing the video, reread paragraph 2, page 4, and try to fill the table below. Note that the symbols of the three particles are the following. Electron has the symbol of E minus, which is the first letter of an electron with the charge of the electron. Neutron has a symbol of N0, which is also the first letter of a neutron and its charge. And so on, proton has a symbol of P+. Now, after you have filled the table, let's solve it together. So, where are the particles located? The proton is located in the nucleus. Neutron is also located in the nucleus, and the electron is located in the electron cloud. The mass of a proton in U or units is 1 U. The mass of a neutron is equal to that of a proton, which is 1 U, and the electron has a negligible mass, almost 0. The relative charge of a proton is 1 plus. The relative charge of a neutron is 0 since it's a neutral, and the relative charge of an electron is 1 minus. The symbols of the proton, neutron, electron are as following. Proton have a symbol of P+, neutron N0, and electron E-. Now let's consider the two elements, aluminium and iron. Although aluminium and iron are made up of atoms that in turn are made up of proton, neutron, and electron, they have different properties. Why do you think these two atoms have different properties? Let's formulate a hypothesis explaining the difference between the atoms of these two substances. If you take a closer look at the aluminium atom and the iron atom, you will notice that they are made up of the same subatomic particles but of different numbers. Aluminium has 13 proton, 14 neutron, and 13 electron, while iron atom has 26 protons, 30 neutrons, and 26 electrons. So the hypothesis we can formulate is that aluminium has different number of subatomic particles than iron, which are the number of proton, neutron, and electron. All atoms in the world are neutral, although they have charged particles, which are protons and electrons. Underline in the paragraph the sentence that explains the neutrality of the atom. You can now stop the video to read the paragraph alone and find the answer. Once you have found it, continue please. That's right, the proton is positively charged, while the electron has the same charge of a proton but with a different sign. Consider the following atom. Let's count the protons and electrons. How many protons are there in the nucleus of this atom? 1, 2. 2 protons. How many electrons are there in this atom? 1, 2. 2 electrons. So, what do you conclude about the number of protons and electrons? The number of protons is equal to the number of electrons. Now, let's sum the charges of protons and electrons. In this atom, we counted 2 protons and 2 electrons. So, 2 protons plus 2 electrons. 1 proton removes 1 electron, the other as well. The sum of these two charges is equal to 0. We conclude that the summation of the positive and negative charges is always 0. How do we explain why the atom is neutral without calculation? The atom is neutral since the number of proton is equal to the number of electron. Protons and electron have equal but opposite charges. The relative charge of a proton is equal to 1 plus, and the relative charge of an electron is equal to 1 minus. Then the summation of the positive and negative charges is always 0. Evaluation. Choose the correct answer. The relative charge of 1 proton is 1 plus. Correct. The subatomic particles that have no charge are called neutrons. An atom is neutral since the number of proton is equal to the number of electron. Assignment. Open worksheet 2, page 4, and read the paragraph. Copy the answers and study the table. Please watch the video more than once in order to understand better. Goodbye and stay safe.